When things happen, they happen. And I'm going to talk about that on this segment of the Gig Geezer. I'm out here at 3 in the morning at a time that reminds me of my days when I would do ride sharing. But I'm up at this time in the morning trailing a tow truck with the Geezer Mobile, or the Geezer van, taking it to a place that's going to be replacing my front end suspension, which includes the suspension parts and the struts and shocks. That's what I'm thinking that's going to be done. The lower control arm busted, and so the upper and lower control arm needs to be replaced on the driver's side. So when you do that, you got to do the passenger side, and then while you're at it, just might as well go ahead on and do the struts and shocks. And I have a completely new front end. It's not what I was looking to do, but in the midst, my doing that probably is going to put me in a position of where at least from a suspension standpoint, front end standpoint, that's something that I won't have to worry about. I mean, there's always brakes and tires, but I replaced the brakes last fall. I got to replace I do have to replace rear tires coming up. That's reason why I drove the F-150 in the last Geezer upload, because when I started the day, actually what happened was I noticed something. I heard something that didn't sound right on Sunday, May 19. I didn't think anything of it, but then when I was about to head out this morning, or yesterday morning, May 20, 2024, it just didn't sound right. Nothing sounded right. And so what I did was I went to the place where I'm taking the van to be repaired, and asked some questions. And I was hoping that I would be able to drive the van to the place. So when I got done at the end of the day, not a good day, none whatsoever. I realized I could barely take the van to the end of the block. And then when I turned the corner, I'm noticing the same issues and even more with the front end. And I knew then that I would have to get it towed. Well, it's taken me basically 5 hours for this van to be towed to the place. The first towing truck that came out, the guy told me that he's not capable of handling it because it's a commercial vehicle, and with the front end being messed up, it needs to be placed on a tow truck that is capable of handling commercial vehicles. Basically, the one with the jerry dan, with the flat bed where it can be pulled on and then secured, and that's exactly what the van is on. So I'll find out what the damage is going to be later today. I have a good idea how much it's going to cost me. I have a good idea what it's going to cost me though. All right, so I am at least moving for the time being. I talked it over with the guy who replaced that lower control arm, and that cost me $350. What I thought he was going to do was the entire front end, but that's what's next. The ball joints, it's already gotten a front end alignment, and then the struts need to be replaced. Said the shocks are okay. The shocks are good. It's the struts that need to be replaced. So at least I can try to make more money again. Whether that occurs today, Tuesday, May 21st, 2024, don't know. But it's a relief that I am moving again. Now, I actually made 4 trips to the place. First one was like at 3-something this morning, following the wrecker to the shop. Then I came by it at like 9 o'clock, talked to the guy. Then I came back around 12:30, somewhere around 12:30, 1 o'clock, and waited. Ended up having to wait for him to come back from his break. And then we went over the numbers for the rest of the work, because he had text messaged me about what else needs to be done. But it's the very things that I had already kind of mentioned in the text message. I kind of figured that it would, I am likely to be looking at an entire front end. So altogether, we're talking $1,350. Considering all the other shit that I got coming, got due, F-150, Taurus, van, commercial insurance. Man, I mean, I mentioned in the community post, yeah, shit happens. I'm at a loss for words right now, man. I'm at a loss for words. I mean, it's a lot, man. It's a lot going on. And then we're also talking Monday, the 27th is the holiday. In fact, this is the holiday weekend coming up. So there may not be much of anything going on this weekend in terms of load boards. My best chance for load board opportunities is going to be tomorrow, Wednesday, the 22nd, and Thursday, the 23rd. 24th may not. But anyway, if I seem subdued and all, I just got a lot going on, and it's also stuff that's beyond the ownership and operation of a Sprinter / cargo van. I just got a lot of stuff that's happening all at once, and that's life, even at this stage of life. So, I don't know where my next round of random thoughts are going to go, but they're going to go somewhere. By the way, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gig Geezer or in any other segment, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. All right, so it is now Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024, and I decided that what I was going to do was document my first opportunity at using the van again. So here's a quick update on things. Now, I posted in the community section about how the van being towed to the place whereby the lower control arm was replaced, and it was replaced. And what I didn't mention, in fact, earlier in this segment, was that after talking to the guy who did the work, he said had that happened somewhere else, like right now, me on I-77 going northbound, I might have ran into someone, might have hit a wall, or had ran into a ditch. I would have had no control. The other thing is that this morning, it seems as if I just got my ass kicked. And one other thing that I'm going to say along the lines of getting my ass kicked, it's the grind and the thirst is beyond real. On one app in which you're able to bid on certain last mile opportunities, I got my ass blitzed on three opportunities this morning. 3 of them, where they said I got outbid or somebody claimed shit outright for much. In all situations, the person who got it for much less money than what I put in for. And while those people, person or persons, may have thought that they did something by grabbing shit for less, way less than what they probably could get it, what they probably should have gotten it for, or could have gotten it for, I'm gonna go as far as to say that this brokered opportunity that I'm embarking on, it's going from Blythewood to Charlotte. This is a home game. Doesn't happen often. I've had a few that have originated from Columbia going elsewhere. If memory serves, well, there's the Wilmington one. That one in this segment of the Gig Geezer was a home game. That was for $400. I had another one that was from Columbia to Conway. This happened last month, I believe. Got it for $300. That was a 120-mile run, $300. Wilmington was a 200-mile run, $400. This one is 80 miles. It may be 80, but let's say 80 miles, $250. Now, it just so happened I had to really go through the formal process with this. Normally, if it was something from this broker, someone would have called me, but that didn't happen this time. So I guess they thought they didn't put one and one together, that Blythewood is basically Columbia. But when they realized who it was, they're like, oh, we're all good here. We're all good here. Just let us know when you'll get there. And so I'm en route now. A lot of shit's going down that I've already hinted at. A lot of shit's been going on, and I just got a lot of shit going on, man, and it happens. Shit going on in personal life, shit going on with the business. Now, the additional work, because what the guy did was replace the control arm, so he's got to put in struts and shocks and put in ball joints, and he's also going to throw in do my front brakes. Although I can do the front brakes myself, he's going to do them because he's going to have to take shit off anyway. He said I got about 35-40% left on my brakes, so he's just going to put new pads on. What the fuck? So that's going to run me $1,000 all together for a new front end. Basically, it's going to be $1,350. But I'll still be rolling. I'm rolling now. You know, that was the thing that I mentioned earlier, was that I'll still be running. I can run, and we'll be running into the weekend. But the other thing is that from a money standpoint, well, I'd mentioned in this segment of the Gig Geezer how, you know, I earned $10,000 or gross $10,000 again, unless miracle of miracles occur. It ain't happening. I have yet. Well, this load is going to put me over 6 G's for the month. As for the week, this load puts me at just over 5 bills. Last week, what I ended up at, 1,500 and change. Worst week in 2024 so far. I may do even worse this week, unless the miracle of miracles occur. So what I'm going to do is pick up the action at the pickup location, and then I'm also going to show in this segment of the Gig Geezer the drop off in Charlotte, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, so I just left the pickup location, and as you see here on the inset, those were the pallets that were loaded onto the van. The only problem is that I didn't get all the paperwork that I was supposed to get. That happens. I'm not gonna say a lot, but it happens. And what it is that these people thought that they gave me all the paperwork that I needed. All they gave me was a bill of lading and some labels that I need to tape onto the pallets once I'm at the cargo place. But what's missing is all the real paperwork, the stuff that the airline needs to process the delivery. Yeah, so I had to reach out to the broker and have them to get in contact with their customer or shipper, so that they can forward what's really needed. Now, this could be a situation depending on how long it takes, because sometimes there's a big delay on the paperwork. This could be a detention time situation if I'm having to sit for over 2 hours there in Charlotte. All right, just a few moments ago, I got a text message from the broker that he just forwarded me the actual documents that I need for the airline. And so I replied an acknowledgement of receipt. And so what I got to do is go to normally when I'm in Charlotte, I'll go to Federal Express Kinko. Depending on where I'm at, I'll just stop off at a hotel and print out the documents. In fact, I may do that as we, in a few moments here. Find me a location where I can print them out. Obviously, when you go to a hotel location, then you don't have to pay. Just for whatever it's worth, if you have an airport load, you always want to make sure that you have, especially for drop off, you always want to make sure that you have the correct documentation, because it can make for a bad day if you get there and you don't have everything. Now, I've seen some content creators talk about that, where they had to contact the broker while they're there at the place, and they end up having to wait a while before they get the documents. When you're picking up, it's not as bad. All you need is really typically one or two pieces of documentation, but the main thing is with the airway bill number. The airway bill number will tell you the airline that you're supposed to pick up. In fact, they look at it. The first three digits on the airway bill number, they can tell on that where you need to go. And I've had that happen where I went to one place and like, oh, you need to go here. And that was exactly what it was. Now, I didn't hit the broker for the extra money that I normally would get that I would normally try to put in for when they give me the wrong address, because the distance to that place was not significant enough to really hit them up the way I would like. And I think also because of how much I already was making on it, I'm like, I don't have to. I guess you could say I may have left some money on the table, but then again, I don't feel as if I left much money on the table. What I made on that kind of made up for it. So, the next bit of documentation will be wrapping up this segment of the Gig Geezer. By the way, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment or in any other segment, hit that subscribe button. Give my content a thumbs up. Share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. For whatever it's worth, when you're dealing with brokers or even a carrier, you always want to respond to all the emails. They usually have an email chain, so you want to hit reply all. And it took me a long time to understand that you need to hit reply all instead of just to that one person that you see on your email address, because there's multiple people that typically are involved with there's typically multiple people that are involved in the chain of communication. So that's why it's needed to hit reply all. But airline documentation is important, especially like with the ones that I have done most of this year. Typically, the freight that's being shipped when I'm dropping off at the airport is going overseas, and so you have to have certain documentations. One of them is what's called an airway bill document. In fact, interestingly, on that document, if you go to the airlines, the air cargo places, they can look at the first three digits and tell you which airline you're supposed to be at if you go to the wrong place. There's something about that. There's something about that code. It's kind of like with the airports, like Charlotte is CLT, Greenville Spartanburg is GSP, Columbia is CAE. Back home in Houston, HBB is Houston Hobby Airport, IAH is Intercontinental, DFW obviously Dallas. Similar coding, but all that is to say, I am probably less than 10 minutes away from reaching the air cargo place. The important thing again with the having the documentation is that In most places, you got to have it in hand, because in a lot of places you're not allowed. They're not going to allow you to email them and they print it out. There are places where they say, nope, we don't do that. Now, I say that officially, wink, wink, nod, nod. Every now and then you may catch somebody who's in a good mood. But there are places where they will not print out the documents, and so you have to have them in hand. Now, of course, they know exactly what's needed to process everything, and so you always want to confirm with the shipper and maybe another. You always want to confirm with the broker, who may have to confirm with the shipper if all the documents have been forwarded, or even your carrier if you do work through a carrier. You want to have the documents in hand, all the documents in hand, before you get there, because if you don't have them, it can make for a long and bad day. I said that I would be documenting from the drop-off place of the Blythewood to Charlotte load. Well, I've got bonus time in that right as I dropped off, or was in the process of viewing the forklift driver taking the pallet out of the van, the broker called, and I updated him about having that. I updated him saying that as we're speaking, the pallets are being taken out of the van, and he says, "Great." I got another load that's out of Charlotte. Would you be interested? I'm like, yeah. He said it was from Charlotte to Statesville. Statesville is a place that I'm familiar with, at least from a bowling perspective. It's a place that I used to bowl for money like 10 years ago when I first started back bowling. And a quick side story to that, I resumed bowling in 2014, having been away from the game for 18 years. So from 1996, the spring of 1996 until winter 2014, I did not pick up a bowling ball. And so by the end of the year, I had heard about some eliminators that were being held in Statesville on Thursday nights, and basically the quality of bowlers was such that it was almost a mini regional. In fact, one of the guys who used to be a regular is a guy named Kyle Troop, and Kyle is now one of the elites in the PBA. In fact, Kyle is arguably in the conversation among the 10 best out there, and Kyle has since gone from being an aspiring force to being a tour de force, and he's won 12 titles out there on tour, including the U.S. Open, a title that eluded his father 40 years ago, in fact, Guppy. And he's done enough to be Hall of Fame eligible based on his body of work. It's just a matter of him waiting on time now. I mean, basically, the PBA requirement is at a minimum 10 titles, 1 major, 15, 20 years being out there, or 5 titles, 2 majors, and then the time element. Anyway, so Statesville is a place that I'm familiar with, that I've bowled fairly well in Statesville. In fact, the last time I bowled there was actually in a gig in 2019 when I was making my way back from hip replacement surgery. And before that, I think it was 2016, and I cashed in. I do remember cashing in that gig. But now here's enough of the rambling. That's the geezer random talk. This one, I was told it was a 45-mile drive. It was going to be 45 miles, and so I told the guy $150, $150. Come to find out, the actual distance is 60 miles, and I'm pissed off to the highest of festivity. I left at a minimum $50 on the table. Somewhere between $50 and $100 on the table. As much as 100, as little as 50. And that bothers me right now. I guess what it amounts to is that you have to be vigilant of even the miles when you're calculating a rate. But again, the guy told me 45 miles, and I'm thinking, okay, $1.50, you know, that's well over $3 a mile, which is what I got for coming from Blythewood to Charlotte for the initial trip, for the initial load. And so now I'm looking at what, 140 loaded miles, $400. That's about $2.80 plus, close to $2.90 a mile. You see the number here. Fuck. That's all I can say is fuck. But anyway, so that's the bonus coverage. You see here where the again, you see here where the pallet was loaded on. In fact, the same forklift driver took off the pallet from Blythewood is the one who loaded the van this time around. So these are the pictures for the drop-off. This is the number. These are the numbers for today. These are the numbers so far for the week. And again, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment or in any other segment of the Gig Geezer, hit that subscribe button. Give my content a thumbs up. Share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. I'm Inwood Lane. As always, may your grind and may your hustle continue.